Welcome back to another video with a Post Credit Clarity podcast. I'm Zay here with
Billy.
Billy,
Oh, my bad.
Billy.
Game early, yo, Billy.
And Billy has some more news he wants to share with us, and we're gonna talk
For
about it.
sure,
Let's
bro.
go.
Europe is like doing Netflix dirty. Like Europe is beating Netflix up and
Thank
is
God.
attempting to like kick them out, essentially, bro. So
Deserved.
recently, a Rome court. And if you don't know where Rome is, it's in Italy. So a Rome court has found that Netflix's subscription price increases in the years 2017, 2019, 2021, and 2024 to be unlawful. So they ruled on that. And so it's potentially entitling like millions of Italian subscribers to refunds of up to 500 euros. Netflix, obviously they said that they were going to appeal, but to give you like a better understanding of what's going on, Netflix has like 5.4 million, roughly 5.4 million users in Italy. And if this ruling goes through, they have to pay upwards of like up to 500 euros to 5.4 million people. Like that's insane.
Jesus.
But what makes it crazier is that like Italy isn't the only people doing this. So far, from my research, I've seen Germany, Netherlands, Poland, Spain, like all participating in the same thing. Like the German courts in Berlin said they've already ruled, and they said that like the price changes based on generic formulas are void because they don't allow users to understand the actual reasons for the cost increase.
Mm,
So what they mean by that is there's this like directive, the European directive, which is supposed to protect consumers against unfair contract terms that create an excessive imbalance in favor of the companies. Basically, companies can't just change the terms of the contract without providing like proper justification in advance. Basically because Netflix's like decision making wasn't like a justified one, they're like, nah, you violated our laws over here. So Netflix's counter argument was basically saying like, no, 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 it is justified. The reason we increased the prices was rising in production costs. We've invested in like new firms, and we're just making overall improvements to not only like our service but Netflix in general. And the courts were like, nah, we don't care. Like,
We do not care.
you know, they literally said they aren't sufficient since they don't tie the increase to clear parameters like inflation or measurable triggers. This guy named Alessandro Mostasio. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. He's actually the president of Movimento Consumatori. He's kind of like been the
damn.
spokesperson. He's kind of, yeah, I killed that. He kind of been the
Friday.
spokes.
Friday, okay.
He kind of been the spokesperson, the person to lead this. He literally said, if Netflix does not immediately reduce prices and reimburse
Ooh.
customers, we'll start a class action lawsuit to guarantee that all the users get restitution for what they like unduly paid. They're not playing around. So obviously Netflix came out again and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna appeal the decision." They literally said this. It was crazy. They were like, "At Netflix, our subscribers come first. We take consumer rights very seriously, and we believe that our conditions have always been in line with the Italian regulations and practices." Then this nigga Alessandro Mostasio came out and was like, "Yo, he putting his dick on the table, dog." He
Ooh, he
was
put his
like,
foot down. I'm with
"But
it.
he was like, that's a way better metaphor. I don't know why I said he putting his dick on the table. I gotta bleep that." But he was like, he basically was like, "Yo, if Netflix intends to put the rights of its subscribers and consumers before all other interests, it should respect the Rome court ruling and provide refunds, thus saving itself from a massive class action, and individual litigation that will last years, damaging its reputation and resulting in like trust being lost." He continued to say, by complying with the first instance ruling, however, this trust could be strengthened, immediately ending all litigation. So he basically was like, "Yo, put your money where your mouth is. If you say that your goal is that like if you say, hey, at Netflix we care about our subscribers, then this is a direct thing that you can do to show how much you care about your subscribers by adhering to the rulings of the court. The court said that you guys were unlawful, and if subscribers are the first people that you care about, then give us the refund. What I find interesting is that the courts themselves aren't like going after every single price increase, which I do think is interesting. The court literally said that Netflix's most recent price increase last year was legally implemented since they were anchored to specific service changes and regulatory obligations among under other things. And it says under the ruling, current subscription prices could be reduced by an amount equal to the price hikes that were voided. So 2017, 2019, 2020, and 2024, those could be voided and they could like bring it down as part of like a result to the ruling. But like I said, they're not going after every year. They're very specific on the years that they're going. So I do think they might end up like something's gonna happen. Do I think Netflix is gonna give a full refund to 5.4 million people? Hell no. Especially knowing that more countries are involved in this. Hell no. But do I think that they'll reduce the prices in Europe? Most likely. What do you think?
So that reminds me of a couple years ago when Apple had the whole situation with the UK, where the UK ruled that the Apple should be using Type C chargers, and they actually demanded that they use the Type C chargers and make their phones um, available for the Type C chargers and like accessible for that kind of thing. Because the Lightning chargers, they were like trying to profit off using the Lightning chargers and selling like something totally different, making people buy like a different charger that wasn't like good for their whole like technological ecosystem, because the
Mm-hmm.
Mac was already using the Type C charger. Like everything else was already using Type C, so it didn't make sense that the phones were still using Lightning. It was literally only for profit. And then the fact that the
Right.
UK ruled that, now Apple had to change their whole phone thing. Then they had, now the phones use Type C with the I'm pretty sure starting with like the 17, they use the Type
Bro,
C now.
the very clearly Europe, like they do not play. Like it's very clear that
So
Europe does not
yeah,
play.
exactly. So that would be my question, is like, I'm sure what people are wondering is like, okay, if Netflix is forced to bring the prices down in Italy,
Yeah.
in Europe, will this affect the United States? Because the United States doesn't care
It
about
is
corporations doing what
crazy
they
you
want.
said that. It's crazy you said that because literally the US is completely different. They literally unilateral adjustments are typically found enforceable as long as users are notified and continue using a customer service. So as long as Netflix gives you like a warning like, "Hey, we're going to increase the prices. We're going to increase the prices." The US does not give a fuck.
Yeah,
Like, they don't care
which
at
makes
all.
sense. Like,
But you know what it might end up being? It might end up being a thing of like, you know how depending on what region you're in of the world, it determines like what content you have access to, whether it be on Netflix, Hulu, HBO, or whatnot. It
mhm.
might just be a thing of like if you're in Europe, then you have a different Netflix price. It's lower. It like they might not change the prices throughout their entire subscriber base because I if they do, then I don't know if Netflix survives this. You know what I'm saying? Because
I
if they're
that's the
if
thing that made me think of, is like Netflix is increasing these prices because yes, they have production costs and stuff like that, but they're not turning a profit probably. That's
they're
why they're
not at all.
increasing the prices every single year, every 6 months. So when you expand
Netflix is
that to
one of those
like,
businesses. Netflix is one of those businesses that is always in the red, but it's one of those things where it's deemed like I always compare how businesses are looked at on the stock market, right? So Netflix is looked at as one of those like you gotta invest type of companies only because of the way it's integrated into society and how many people are involved in like the subscriber base. It's not like that because of their measured profitability. You know what I mean? Which puts them in this position of do they fold to Europe, knowing that the ramifications of that are huge, or do they stand strong again, knowing that the ramifications of that are huge? You know what I mean?
yeah, my question would be like, I don't think this only affects Netflix. You know what I mean? I think this affects streaming services as a whole because we know that, like we've talked about this before, we know that the money is kind of funny with streaming services. We know it's
For
weird.
sure.
We know it's some, weird stuff going on back there to make the logistics work. So if Netflix, the biggest streamer of them all, is forced to like adhere to this kind of standard, I think that that means like the end of these streaming services, or maybe not the end, but probably they're gonna have to either evolve or die, and that's the only way
Evolve or
forward for
die.
them.
And
Yeah,
well, what I was gonna ask you is like, what do you think the evolution of these streaming services will be? Because if it's evolve or die, then how do they evolve?
you combine. You know what I'm saying? Disney is already they already have Disney Plus already has this thing with Hulu and ESPN where you like get a package and then you now have like all three streaming services. They already combined with the rest of the streaming services. They're gonna have to follow in those footsteps. Like they're gonna like Netflix is gonna have to talk to, I don't know, Paramount Plus, because who has Paramount? Who cares about Paramount Plus? Nobody.
Who
Nobody has that.
cares about Paramount?
Nobody has that.
Who?
So
It's funny you say who cares about Paramount, but they clearly have so much money over there to just
bro,
like do
them niggas
whatever they
is
want.
them niggas is
I don't
balling.
know. We don't know what's going on with Netflix. We for sure don't know what's going on with Paramount Plus. But yeah, I do think this puts Netflix in an interesting position.
Yeah.
If the entire Europe is like, nope, and that's like, if because I said the number roughly 5.4 million people, and that's only in Italy, and there's like four other countries that are doing the same thing or are about to do the same thing. So you have maybe what, like at the end of it, if you combine the countries, 30 to 50 million users that are like committed to not using your product anymore if they don't like get their way. That's crazy.
Hmm.
And I don't think that just based off of the US subscriber base or just based off of the subscriber base in other countries, you are able to like come back from that. If all 50 million people are like, nah, we're done unless you change something. You know what I mean? So definitely interesting.
Yep. Hey man, Billy, you'll keep us updated, man.
I
That's why I
will
fuck
keep
with
out.
you.
This is the most fascinating thing ever. Yo, fuck everything else that's happening. This to me is like the most interesting thing in the world. It's crazy, yeah. But all right, y'all. Salute.